What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your host, Cam Williamson, and today we got a few different topics we're going to talk about, all things that have come up in my life this last week, and I want to share them with you as I travel through my road and my journey, right? First one being first is we want to prioritize our own life, right? We hear it a lot. It's your life, immediately followed by a bunch of advice on how to fix your life, on how to improve your life, which is fine. You came to certain places for certain reasons, but we need to always remember we're prioritizing our own life, and we're not taking what other people say and just implementing that for us and leaving it for what it is. You can take what's good and leave the rest. But we'll talk about it. We're going to get into it. Also, our new way of life, right? So you come here, if you're on this podcast, you're of a growth mindset, and you want to continue to build, and you want to continue to grow. But we also have to remember, our new way of living, just because we're making the improvements, that doesn't mean that it's our very best. We'll get into that. We'll elaborate a little bit more. Also, once we get through those first two things that we talked about, on top of everything else we've talked about, you could become the corny cliches, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, on top of that, once you learn to really harness your own power and your own energy of what you can do with your life, you're of great things, but you're also possible of destruction as well. We'll get into that, how that can be a thing, and then we're going to close the show up with what makes successful people successful. How are they different than the people that would not see themselves as successful? We're going to get into all of it right here on the Road to Redemption podcast.
Well, hello there, boys and girls. Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. It's your boy Cam.
Going live. Lights, cam, action.
Road to Redemption.
Your Road to Redemption.
Welcome back. We're here on the Road to Redemption podcast. We're starting off talking about prioritizing your life, right? When we do that, when we start prioritizing our life, that means we're trying to make upgrades, we're trying to get things in order, we're trying to get some structure, right? We often seek help. We seek help from all mindset books, self-help books, stuff like that, financial books, and all those things come with a lot of advice, right? With those advice, they're going to give you new routines, and often things, when they're trying to create new habits, they're going to give you a new routine to start. Wake up early and drink water before coffee, and they're going to give you certain things. Most of those things are great. However, remember that when they give you those things, they're giving you those things as advice, tips, things that worked for them. Don't become the process so much that you lose yourself, right? Here's what I mean. I myself have taken so many journeys in life, and I have so many hobbies and so many interests that sometimes people can say things like, well, Cam, you become a chameleon of sorts. Well, yes and no, right? I absorb everything as much as I can, as long as I'm passionate about it, and as long as my whole thing has always been business, sales, motivation, how to help people. That's my thing, right? That's marketing, advertising, that's my thing. So if it has to do with that, I've always been about that. Now, what industry I've operated in, whether it be fitness or guns or whatever, that's changed. But I've had different mentors along the way, like the Gary V's and the EMF CEOs and the personal mentors that I've had in my life. And all those people I've listened to their stories, and I've listened to the things that they do daily that made them successful. And I've implemented some of those things in my life, and I've implemented some of them to the point where I've almost became that person. And immediately to somebody like me, I feel that and I go, let's stop. Because yes, this feels good, and I definitely got the momentum that they're talking about, but I feel like I'm just becoming that person, and I've always been very anti that. So I want to start my episode off today by encouraging you that no matter who you motivate or who you get motivated by, make sure that you're taking what they're saying, and then you're keeping your priorities up top first. If your priorities first are family, then your business, then whatever, then every time you hear one of your motivators talk about, you got to be up at 5:30 a.m. and yeah, there's some days you might miss your kids getting on the bus. Well, hey, your priorities aren't matched up with theirs. right? Point taken. While we're going through all this growth mindset, we're talking about bringing on new ways of life, new habits, new routines, just like we talked about. With that, sometimes we can do something such as we start a new fitness routine or an eating routine, or we start reading 6 pages a day, or whatever our new thing is. And we become so proud of ourselves that we stuck to it for not only 3 months, not only 5 months, but maybe 6 months. We've stuck to it, and we've been good that we've held ourselves into our accountability group, and everything has been, that's a big step for you, right? Good. I'm proud of you. If you haven't implemented something like that in your life that you've actually gotten a chance to stick with, I recommend implementing something like that now. Here's my thing. We're all constantly improving. I want to make an A point and a B point to this. A point. Ding. A point. A point is, I want you to constantly be improving, but remember, don't settle. Just because you got over one big hurdle. I've been making a lot of big emotional hurdles here recently, like just dealing with some stuff in here. And when I make one, I almost am like, wow, this new me is so cool. I'm going to love this new me for the rest of my life. And you're like, no. You have to keep doing everything that got you that first one and more now. So it actually gets harder. So you have to continuously keep trying to improve and grow. So that's a part of wanting to become successful is, fortunately, I like it because it's growth is exciting to me, where I used to be so afraid of it, but that's only because you face fears and then you grow. So don't let your new way of living and your new growth just be good enough, always be growing, but also be content with where you are in the moment. And yes, you can do those two things simultaneously. You can be happy with where you're sitting in life, and you can be proud of your accomplishments, while also have an active goal and an active plan to how to reach that goal. Those two things can live in simultaneous harmony. I think it's important to also remember, when you're trying to balance things, especially work life. If you're here, you're probably dealing in business and your personal life. Some of you may or may not have children, and that really doesn't matter. The problem is, what happens is your ebb and flow gets off. Right? You could work so much that you forget to spend time with your family. And you started working so much, and you took that job that would pay this much, and that would give you this schedule, so because that fits your family. But then we become so goal-oriented and so goal-ambitious and just kind of tunnel-visioned on our daily routines and our daily habits that we forget, oh, I did all this originally for my family, right? Now, when I said in the beginning, great power, once you learn to channel your power and harness the energy that is you, and that you can use that throughout your day, whether positively or negatively, that brings me to my final point. And then I'll just kind of catch you guys up on what's been going on with me. My final point of the day is, with this manifestation and the understanding that you're just one big ball of energy and you use that to affect your future, that can be a very good thing, and you can also realize that can be a very scary thing. When we have moments where we start to go down our old ways of thinking, where we get very angry and it's comfortable. As somebody who struggled with an alcohol dependency before, I can tell you that it's actually very comfortable. When I get very upset, that feeling is good. It almost feels like you're getting the hit of that drug again, and I definitely relate to that when they say that emotions are addictive, because I think they are. Sometimes our bodies crave those feelings because people like me, we've lived in them for so long, like the rage and the sadness or the depression or whatever. Our bodies look for that. Now I've done a lot of work over the last couple years to keep those feelings out of my mind through positive thinking and through actually doing efforts that I'm proud of, which gains me confidence, which gets rid of those things. But also, let's go the other route. So I've manifested a life for myself that is improving and growing and becoming very successful. On the other tail end, say you learn all this and you have a bad day. And you go, oh man, I just keep manifesting all this bad stuff, and now this happened and this happened, and all these bad things keep happening, and I know that I'm bringing it on myself. And that's where I was about 3 weeks ago. Is I was at that place where I knew I was manifesting my own bull crap, and I was bringing it on myself, and it was almost like I was standing under a floodgate and just opening the door. And it was like, but I was still so mad about it, and I felt so strongly that it was unfair that I had to deal with it, but I still believed in manifestation. So it was like I'm living in this time bomb in my chest that's just and it's just chaos and it's rage and it's whatever, and I'm inside going, you're making it worse, screaming on the inside because it's emotional, and because when I get a hit of that I get to woo, because when I do anything, as you guys know, I gotta do it all the way. So that's one thing that I've learned through watching people in my past and whatever. That's something I learned early on I have to really control. But it is something that I recognize it feels good. But if I let that continue, like I've let the positive things continue in my life, I can lose everything twice as fast as what I've just gained it. So that's something I just wanted to point out to you guys. It's definitely important. The reason that I think it all kind of coexists together is it reminds me of a time back in my life where it was the first time I had ever really made good money. What was considered good money to me back then. I'd really been successful at commission sales. I was a general manager of a gun store in Indiana, but that was also a pawn shop, so it was really great as far as commission tiers and stuff. And we were very good at our job. The location was great. We were very successful. The problem being, when I became more successful, at the time I knew that I was having an issue with drinking, but I wasn't ready to give it up yet. I hadn't gotten any of my DUIs yet or anything like that, but I knew that I was struggling with it. I knew that I was having a hard time telling me no, which has always been a problem for me. But, so anyway, I'm making good money, and because of that, I start to rationalize my drinking to myself, and I'm manifesting this life of partying and being, this, boss of a team that drinks together and whatever, and I literally manifested this life. And I used to think about, having beers and driving home all happy because I got to have beers with my buddies after a successful day of work. And I literally manifested this crazy-ass life for myself that was out of, a movie. And I looked, and it was like, wow. My whole life, all these problems that I've created for myself, I've literally created them for myself. Because I wanted to be this person. I wanted to be this thing. I wanted to be just like this. But again, I've talked about it a long time ago in this show. You don't realize that when you watch people or you watch movies, whether they're biographies or not, you don't realize that you're only watching the parts of where the person survives. You're only watching the part where they make it through. Yeah, you might catch a quick glimpse of the suffering and the pain, but when we try to live our lives based off what somebody else is doing, I think you're always ultimately going to find pain and suffering in the end. Which brings me back to the original point. You can know exactly what you want to do in your life, and obviously other people are going to do that. But if you don't figure out exactly what you're going to do differently than everybody else in that thing, then that's not your thing. So that knocks out point number one. Number two, it's just, you gotta understand how powerful you really are as a person. And the things that you think, they straight up affect your life. So if you think that you're a no good bum who's always destined to work at Wendy's, well, I'm sorry to tell you, that's true for you. But if you believe that this is where you are now and that's your way to make a way, so that way you can do this and then get here and then make that of yourself, That is 100% right of that too. But you gotta feed into that all the time. It's a constant war if you're anybody like me. You gotta constantly be in your own head going, hey, I'm manifesting this. I'm bringing this visualization in my head, whether it applies to the specific situation I'm in right now, which I'll catch you up. I've been going for this job that I really care about. It's everything I've ever wanted to do for a place that I've wanted to do it, and it would be huge if it came through. And I had a second interview with the CEO, and I thought it went really well. But I'm manifesting myself walking into this office, which just by manifesting it, I mean, I'm visualizing it down to what I'm going to wear, down to the parking lot. I've been there, so I know what it looks like. I asked for a tour of the place so I could see my office, and I could go, okay, that's what my desk looks like, and I can decorate the walls like this, and I can put a candle here, and this is what my practice is now. So on top of meditating, now this is a part of my daily practice because I'm at a place where I'm waiting on them to call. They said that they're going to make their decision between when I talked to her yesterday and Friday, but they're going to let the person know on Friday. So for me right now, instead of overthinking it and try to control it and overthink it and overanalyze, I'm practicing that. And I'm doing it with the understanding that that's very powerful, leading to me going in and having the office just the way I decorated it. Also, if this situation doesn't come through and they don't call, I'm still manifesting a future situation because it comes naturally to me. I don't have to create it out of something that doesn't make any sense. No, I've put in the work, and I've done everything that would require me to walk in there that confidently where I can see that happening in my head. It's just now I'm getting the finite details to where I believe I'm creating that to happen in my future. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I feel like this was a killer episode. I loved it. I like the new staying on a structure thing. It's keeping the episode structured. Sorry, I don't want to keep saying that. Guys, if you haven't yet, thumbs up the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe definitely to the podcast. Make sure you guys are downloading those. Leave us the reviews. Share it with your friends. That's how everybody finds this. Sorry for my nasally whatever. I'm kind of got a little congestion going on. Send me the love on the new job. That's kind of the high energy thing I was asking for last week. I wanted to wait until at least I got past the interview process. Now, it is what it is. It's going to be what it is. But I'm confident that we're going to hear good things. Guys, I love you. I hope your weeks are amazing. I hope you guys are getting back into the swing of things after being in the holidays. If you need some extra little, you're not quite ready to get back in, hey, catch up on the podcast. There's tons of content here. We got 2.5 years worth of stuff. Keep listening while you work. Love you, baby. Look, they paid me the money. I freaking forgot. Gotta do it. Lawnmower 2.0, guys. The Lawnmower 3.0 or the Perfect Package 2.0 is out right now. But the Lawnmower 3.0 is coming in the Perfect Package. Here's what you get. You get the Lawnmower 2.0 currently. You get the 3.0 soon. I'll have one. I'll be able to show you. But the 2.0, which the 3 is still going to have, the skin-safe technology, guys, so you never nick or snag your nuts when you're manscaping. Guys, manscaping accidents got to be a thing of the past. It's 2020. You're in a new decade. If you're still snagging your nuts when you're trying to keep things looking fresh for your loved ones, which you should, it's a thing of the past. Stop using the same razors on your face that you use from the neck and below. It's got to be different. Now, for me personally, I use the Lawnmower 2.0 on my beard, and then I have a second one for neck and below. That's what you see. Your boy is always perfectly manscaped. Always perfectly manscaped. Guys, use code ROAD20. You get anything you order for 20% off. You also get free shipping. Hey, you're welcome. On top of that, you're getting the top quality stuff. Not just the trimmer, but also the crop preserver, which is the thing that you scrub your whole body with it. You got the deodorant, the ball deodorant that you put on. Guys, if you're putting deodorant under your pits, you think you should probably have it in other crevices of your body. You should. It controls your pH. It smells amazing. I also have the foot duster for any time I train my clients or get off the mats from training myself. Got the foot duster, which controls the pH and kills any bacteria on my feet. Then I got the crop preserver, which you spray down, but I kind of wear it as the cologne too. Guys, Manscaped, Road 20, go get you some.